strings off, and as is so often the case, when you take the strings off you really notice how much wear there is on the frets, and in this case there are some reasonably significant grooves in the frets. So what I decided to do was do a fret level. So we've got the guitar into my fret jig. We've got the neck completely level, supported so it can't move. Got some dials here so I can see if it's moved. I know it hasn't moved as I've been setting it all up. So it's completely flat. So all I've got to do is use my levelling beam on it, and I can get this nice and level. So I'm just going to take off the top, get them as level as I can without taking it too low, and then re-crown them. I've got the frets levelled, and we've also put the crown back on the top of the fret. So my method for doing that is to use one of Chris Allsop's crowning tools, but because the frets are so low, I could only get so much done with this, and essentially what it did was just take the sharp edges off. And with the rest of the work, I've used another Chris Allsop tool actually, which is this diamond grit file, which is, I think, I'm not sure if it's a recrowning file. It might be a fret end file, but I use it a lot for fret crowning, and it usually gets into all the areas that you need it to get into. So what we've got left on the top of these frets is a thin strip, which represents the top, the apex of the crown of the fret. So down at the bottom end, excuse me, we've still got a couple of dents or grooves rather that have been created by wear from the strings. Ideally, if it was up to me, I think I'd probably want to refret this guitar and you know, just get it completely new set of frets in there. But that's not what I've been asked to do. I just want to get it playable. In my experience, once I've got these polished out, which is the next job, these little dents are not really going to affect playability. You won't notice them, you won't really see them, because they'll be underneath the strings anyway, and they won't have any discernible effect on the way this guitar plays, because they follow from one string to the next anyway. So in terms of level, it is still level all the way up the neck. But then again, you know, ideally it should be refretted, and if it comes back again in years to come, that's probably what I'm going to do with it. But this is how we've done it this time. So now we're going to move on to doing some polishing, or actually some sanding, and then some polishing. I'm going to do the setup now, and I'm going to start with the neck relief. The neck relief is absolutely vital, and so what I've got is a flat rule, and I just flat edge rather. So this is milled completely flat. I mean, you can buy these on eBay, lots of different places. So all I've got to do is get my feeler gauges. You can use metric or you can use imperial. For nearly everything I'll use metric because it's just simpler. But with relief, it's easier to do thousandths of an inch. It's always in thousandths, and what I tend to aim for is a little bit under the factory spec, because that tends to be the right balance between the buzz, eliminating the buzz at the low end of the neck, and also allowing some extended playability for low action at the top end of the neck. So I tend to go for around about 6 or 7, but it does depend on the guitar, and if you haven't fret leveled the guitar, you've got some high frets, you're going to end up either with more neck relief or a higher action, or possibly both. So let's just check. We just find the lowest spot and find the right feeler gauge. So it's not that one, it's a bit more. So it's about 6, which is fine. So once I've got the neck relief where I want it to be, I'll then move on to the string action, the height at the 12th fret. And what we've got with this setup is about 1.75 this side and 1.5. So there's a little bit of buzzing there. So what I'm going to do is raise this up a little bit. Good thing about the junior bridges, it doesn't throw anything out when you're, like most Gibson bridges, when you're lowering and raising it. So that's just a little bit higher. Needs to be a little bit higher than that. I'm moving this really small amounts. And it's still 1.75 or thereabouts, so I think we can go a little bit higher. I think it's pretty much where it needs to be. It's 1.75 on this side and just over 1.5 on that side. Gibson's factory spec is 2.25 on the low E. I don't think it needs to be that high. For most people playing, that is, it's fine. It's not going to really rattle, and if it rattles a tiny bit, it won't come through on the amp anyway. So that's where I set it, about 1.75, maybe a little bit more than that on a Gibson guitar on the high E, and slightly over 1.5 on the low E. Sometimes a little bit lower if you can get it lower. Don't think it's going to go lower on this one. When I've done that, the next thing to do is the intonation. The intonation is adjustable on this. I'm not really sure if this is an original bridge, because I don't think the original 59 juniors had the 2 adjustable screw points. So let's check that. I mean, it's probably spot on actually. It hasn't been done for a while. It may have drifted, and that's bang on. I suspect this is going to be okay, because this was used in the studio quite a lot, and producers are notorious about getting guitars properly intonated, and don't really like it when bands turn up with their guitars not set up properly. this could be a little bit lower at this side, so it's a Phillips on that side, so we'll find a Phillips and we'll just give it a little tweak. There we go. And see what that's done to the intonation. So I've got my Peterson strobe tuner here, really accurate, so I know it's going to be spot on. I mean, most tuners, especially stage tuners or the ones you put on headstock, are not going to be as accurate as this. So if I can get it right on this, I know it's going to be okay. Still a little bit sharp, so I'm going to give it another tweak. Actually, probably better off with this screwdriver. Yeah, it fits better. Obviously, if you move the relief around a bit, it's going to change the scale length slightly. Actually, when I'd got the guitar in the neck jig, I had got it flat so I could do some fret leveling on it, and I did notice there was absolutely no tension at all on the truss rod at all. It just worked its way loose over the years, which does tend to happen. There's a lot of vibration going on with the guitar, obviously, and the truss rods can become loose over time. So that's spot on now, so that's the intonation done. Last thing is just checking the nut action. So what I want with the nut action is for the strings, when I hold the string down at the second fret, for there to be just a slight bit of space left for me to tap down at the first fret, and that will allow enough room for the strings to vibrate when they're open without causing buzz. You don't want them too high because that just makes it feel uncomfortable when you're playing. So actually that one there, the G string could be just slightly lower. I've got my nut files over here and I need the 17. So all I'm going to do is just run the nut file through the slot very carefully, just to lower that very, very slightly. And this is a bone nut, I think it's the original one. And yeah, that's just a little bit better. So that's good. So pretty easy setup on this. There's not a lot to adjust. Obviously it's a Fender guitar. You're going to end up with 6 different saddles, adjustments up and backwards and forwards on each one, so you can get the action and the intonation adjusted for each one. With this, there isn't so much scope for that. What you can do is use a radius gauge like this that goes under the strings, and what you want is for each string to be interfered with by that gauge, as you hold it up against the string, so you can just hear it buzzing a bit, except for this one, because I find that with the low E it just needs to be just slightly higher to avoid the buzzing. So that's okay, that's done. One last thing I'm going to do is to just fill and re-drill this hole for the strap button. So the guitar strap was held on by a very large wood screw going through the original strap button with a very large washer. Obviously that's great for stage and very secure, but it's not really supposed to be. So I've asked the client and he wants me to put the original strap button in, which means I've got to get a screw of the right dimension and just fill this hole so that the screw will go into it. So I'm going to fill it with a piece of dowel, trim it back level and drill a new hole, and I think this is the original strap button in here. Yeah, it is. So I'm just going to reuse that because it's got the age. I mean, it is the original part, so let's reuse that. Okay, we've got the original strap button back in there, and that's ready to go. Okay, so I've finished work now on the guitar. Really pleased with the way it's come out. We got the neck brake fixed, and I put the nut back in and set it all up so the action height's correct for each string. There's no buzzing. I did a little bit of fret level and also re-crowned all the frets, conditioned the fretboard, went through the electrics, such as it is, one volume, one tone, but checked all of that out. Jack socket, everything's working fine, pickup sounds absolutely lovely, and we put this new scratch plate on. So it's the same as the old one, but without the bit missing. This is the old 59 style, so single ply black. No white line round the edge. The rest of it is absolutely fine. It plays great. We've still got all of this lovely wear on it, and I think that just adds to the provenance of it, really, as a sort of historic guitar. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've certainly enjoyed working on this one. And we'll see you next time. Please subscribe to the channel and take care of yourselves.